Good morning, this is Shelby Law with Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, August 23rd, 2024. Fire potential impacts for the next couple of days are shown here, and we have some major changes coming in the forecast. But for today, another day, very windy day across much of the Great Basin, breezy, gusty over western Idaho into western Nevada, and then here in these shaded brown area, we have some very strong winds with low relative humidities from all the way in southern Nevada all the way up into the central Idaho mountains. And then further east, we have another round of wet showers and thunderstorms. Tomorrow, the low pressure trough tracks north across the Great Basin, and we'll see cooler temperatures with rain type showers in place. They'll be light, but definitely a very significant difference in the air mass over northern Nevada and up into western and central Idaho on Saturday. Still some breezy winds over southern Nevada, western Utah, and up into western Wyoming. Ahead of that front on Saturday with some isolated storms in eastern Utah. And then by Sunday, the cooler temperatures really take over much of the basin. Yesterday was an active day for thunderstorms, especially over southern Utah and the Arizona Strip, where we had some heavy precipitation associated with those storms, and then some storms over northern and northeast Utah with lighter precip. And then overnight, we've seen some showers and thunderstorms move into eastern Idaho. Fire activity for the past 24 hours shows that we have had 10 new fires for just over 2,000 acres, and our large fire growth was over 11,000 acres. ERCs remain somewhat low over Utah with recent precipitation, but values are increasing over Idaho, eastern Idaho, western Wyoming, and across much of Nevada as we've been under this very dry and windy air mass over the past few days. Many high ERCs over Nevada, near record breaking, and then also some really high values over Idaho. This morning's satellite imagery shows that area of low pressure really strengthening and deepening, moving a little bit further south along the California coast. This low will begin to move into the Great Basin overnight tonight and into the weekend. Moisture is in place over central and eastern Utah for another round of showers and thunderstorms there. For smoke this afternoon, so we do have some smoke coming in from California up into Nevada, and then of course the smoke from the fires in central Idaho and western Wyoming. Tomorrow, with the cooler and more moist conditions moving into Idaho, we should see the smoke decreasing a bit and also being shifted a little bit to the east. Lots of high risk for wind has been issued for Utah, for Nevada, western Utah, and up into Idaho, with strong winds out ahead of this area of low pressure. Those wind gusts should be very high, 50 miles an hour or so, maybe even a little bit higher in some of these areas in western Utah where we see these brown shading, and then up into eastern Idaho. Much of Idaho, anyway, could see gusts 40 to 45 miles an hour possible. Minimum relative humidities are quite low over Nevada and western Utah, with slightly higher values over Idaho. Those values are going to be in the upper teens to low 20s. Higher minimum relative humidities over western Wyoming and central and eastern Utah today. By late this afternoon, cloud cover will move into western Nevada and into the higher elevations of western and central Idaho as that low starts to move in. We could also see some fast-moving isolated drier type storms over portions of western Idaho and into northern Nevada today. However, on the east side of the basin, these showers and thunderstorms will be accompanied with higher relative humidity, and most of these storms should produce some precipitation today. The area of low pressure swings through the Great Basin overnight and through the day on Saturday. So we will see relative humidity coming up, much cooler temperatures as this low swings through. Quite a dramatic change in weather is coming to some portions of the area. We do have high risk still issued for western Utah and eastern Nevada on Saturday out ahead of that low, ahead of the front. And then also high risk issued for western Wyoming where the winds will still be quite strong on Saturday. Okay, closer look here showing the focus of winds on Saturday will be mostly over Utah and up into western Wyoming. Some breezy conditions still over the east central Idaho mountains, but cooler temperatures and higher relative humidities will be moving into that region. We can see the minimum relative humidities really come up over northern Nevada and across much of Idaho on Saturday, with still this dry slot over southern Nevada, western Utah, and up into western Wyoming. Temperatures on Saturday take a big drop, especially over northern and central Nevada and up into most of Idaho, with temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s. So a pretty significant drop in temperatures. We also are expecting this kind of widespread low-end wetting rain across much of northern Nevada and into western Idaho. We're looking at precip totals around maybe a tenth of an inch here for these areas as that low swings through. On Sunday, the low still is moving across the Great Basin. We can kind of see it starting to exit to the north and east here with the northern Rockies, with drier air moving in behind it. But we should see some continued potential for showers into the early morning hours on Sunday. Wind gusts really die down by Sunday. This is a very significant change based off of the recent weather that we've had. So very light winds in place on Sunday over the north and west, with just some lingering gusts over southern and southeast Utah. Minimum relative humidity still stay pretty high across the north on Sunday, but drier air remaining in place over southern Nevada and southwest Utah. Temperatures still stay quite cool on Sunday, with those cooler temperatures moving further east with highs in the low 70s once again. And then the precip on Sunday, again, just showing some lingering showers through Saturday night into Sunday morning over the east central Idaho mountains, and then possibly some here over a band here over northeast Nevada. 3-day precip totals are shown here. Again, looking for the best chance of precip coming to the central Idaho mountains in that Saturday time frame, with possibly a tenth of an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch at some spots here in the central Idaho mountains, lighter amounts over northern Nevada. And then here over Utah, this is just our typical monsoonal afternoon showers and thunderstorms, mainly today. Continued dry conditions on Monday across the Great Basin with gradual warming. And those dry conditions continue on Tuesday. There is a low pressure trough tracking eastward across southern Canada here that will keep things kind of on the cooler side up north. We may see a slight increase here or there in winds, but nothing too significant just yet. And then Wednesday, that low quickly moves off to the east, and drier conditions are in place across the area. And then by Thursday, a high pressure ridge builds into the Great Basin for continued light winds and warming temperatures. 7-day precip totals don't really change much from the 3-day, as all the precip is coming in the short term. The extended forecast puts a bullseye of heat over the Pacific Northwest to include western Idaho and northern Nevada. And then we see this above normal trend for precip over Utah and into eastern Nevada. So we'll keep an eye on that as we move into the first part of September. This concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.